Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Temitope. If this is your first time here, thank you for stopping by, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. In today's tutorial, we are going to be sewing a draped bustier blouse with an underbust corset and a scallop edge. So if this is what you are interested in, then let's get started. But don't forget to like this video, give your comments, and subscribe to my channel if you are yet to do so. I already draw a straight line to indicate the starting point. So we are going to be cutting this blouse like an off-shoulder blouse. So I'm going to put my tape rule at the 4 inches mark. This is how low I want my blouse, the neckline of my blouse to be. So I'm going to be marking other horizontal measurements, vertical measurements. I'm going to be taking my bust point measurement, the underbust measurement. I'm going to be taking the half length, which is 14.5. and then the blouse length. The blouse length is 21 inches, but for this tutorial I'm going to be adding 1 inch extra because of the type of blouse that we are cutting, because of the scallop edge. So I'm going to be making it 22 inches. Then I'm going to go ahead now and draw a straight line across each point. Now what we are going to be doing is to label the lines. This is the bust point, the underbust, the half length, which is also the waistline, and the blouse length. Now on my bust point, I'm going to be placing my dart. So I'm going to be using my nipple to nipple measurement to place the dart. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 6 inches. I'm going to divide by 2, so that's 3 inches. Then I'm going to also mark 3 inches at the blouse length line, and then I'm going to be connecting it together with a straight line. So at the underbust part, I'm going to be at the center front. I'm going to be taking half of an inch there, and I'm also going to be taking it at the blouse length to here. Then I'm going to be connecting it together with a straight line. Then from this point, I'm going to be connecting to this point with my ruler. So I'm going to connect it together like this. So on the other side, at the underbust, I'm going to be taking 1¼ inch. So if I are on the big side, you can take 1½ inch. And I'm also going to be taking that also at the blouse length. So now I'm going to be connecting these 2 points with a straight line. Then from this point, I'm going to be connecting to the bust point with my curve rule, just like this. So now from this bust point, I'm going to be connecting a line to the starting line. So for the bust point, we use 3 inches by dividing our bust measurement to 2. So on the starting line, we are going to be using 4 inches. We are going to add 1 inch to that 3 inches. So we are going to be using 4 inches. So I'm going to be connecting from there to my bust point like this. So I'm going to be taking a dart here. So I'm going to be using 1 inch from the starting line there. I'm going to be taking 1 inch line, and I'm going to be connecting it to the bust point with my curve rule, just like this. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to determine our neck depth, like how wide our neck is, our neck width, how wide we want the neck to be. So we are going to be using our shoulder measurements for this. So I'm going to be dividing my shoulder measurement by 2, and then I'm going to subtract 2½ inches from it. So my shoulder measurement is 13.5 divided by 2. That will give me 6¾ Then I'm going to subtract 2½ from that, so I'm going to have 4¼ So I've just marked that here now. Then you can see that we have a dart here. So that dart is 1 inch. So I'm going to be placing it back like this. So this is where our neckline is going to start from. So now I'm going to be getting the chest line. That's the armhole depth. So to do that, I'm still going to put my tape rule at that 4 inches mark. And then I'm going to be dividing my bust measurement by 6. And then I will add 1½ inches to it. So that will give me 7½ inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it here. Then I'm going to draw a straight line across it. That will serve as my chest line. So I'm going to be connecting from the neckline to that chest line with a straight line like this. And on my chest line, I'm going to be dividing my bust measurement by 4. I'm going to be marking my bust measurement there. So after dividing my bust measurement by 4, so I got this, and then I'm marking it 8 3/4. And then I'm going to be, you can see that there's a dart here and there's already some, so I'm going to measure this space. That's about half of an inch. Then I'm going to place it back here. So I'm going to be connecting from the neckline to the bust, to the chest line where I took the bust measurement. So I'm just going to connect with a slant line like this. Now I'm going to be taking other horizontal measurements. I already took the bust measurement, so I'm going to be taking the under bust measurement. So I'm going to be dividing the other bust measurements by 4 and mark it. Then I'm going to measure this dart line also, and I'm going to place it back here like this. Then on the waistline, this is going to be, it's actually a corset, but it's not going to have a eyelet at the back. It's going to have a zipper at the back. So I'm just going to remove 1 inch from my waist. So my waist is 27. I'm going to remove 1 inch. That's 26 inches. So I'm going to divide 26 inches now by 4. So we'll be using 26 inches for the waist. I'm going to divide it by 4, and then I'm going to mark it here. Then I'm going to measure what I have for the dart, and I'm also going to be placing it here. So on the hip line and on the blouse line, I'm going to be using my hip measurements for that. So I'm going to divide my hip measurements by 4. I'm going to mark it, and then I'm going to measure the dart area too, and then I'm going to be placing it back like this. Then I'm going to be connecting all these points together. I'm going to turn my cover to the other side and then mark from my waistline to the blouse length line. So I'm going to be shaping the neck area now. I'm going to take 1 inch down from here, and then I'm going to connect it with a curve to the start point of the neckline. So I'm just going to curve it like this. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut out the neck. But before cutting the rest, I want to add my seam allowance. So I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch seam allowance at every point. But at the blouse length line, I'm going to be adding 1 inch because I do not want so much allowance there so that it will not be bulky. So I'm going to connect now with my cover again. So I can go ahead now and cut the rest out. So on this underbust part, I'm going to be going up by 1 inch, just like this, and then I'm going to be curving it from that point to that area at the underbust line, just like this. So I'm just going to extend it to the seam allowance. So I'm just going to cut this part off for the upper part, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut out my dart area. So this is what we have for the upper part. And so the lower part, this is where we are going to be having the scallop edge. So I'm going to fold in the dart like this, and I'm going to be applying a tape just to hold it down. And then now I'm going to be drawing my scallop edge here, just like this. So what I'm going to do is that between the dart and this line, the side line, that is the side front, I'm going to measure it just like this and locate the middle. So the middle is 3 1/4. So from that middle, I'm going to now go up by 2.5 inches. After marking it, then on the side here, I'm going to mark 1 inch at the side. So what I'm going to do is to curve like this, then get to the 2.5, then come down to the 1 inch. So you can go ahead and use your free hand if you can, but if you cannot do that, you can use this. So I'm going to curve here to meet the 2.5 inches, and then I'm going to be turning it to the other side, then make a curve again to meet the 1 inch which we measured at the side. So I'm just going to smoothen the line so that it will not be sharp, just to make it kind of curvy. So I'm going to be extending that towards the seam allowance there, just like this. So now I can go ahead to cut it out. Then I can remove the tape and also cut out the darts. So this will be the lower part of the front pattern. So we can mark that arrow just to indicate the down part so that you won't get confused. So we'll be cutting the back pattern just like we did to the front. We are going to be placing our tape at 4 inches also on the starting line, and then I'm going to be taking my vertical measurements. I'm taking the underbust, the half length, and the blouse length. So you can notice that I did not take the bust point. That is not needed here. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a straight line across this point. So before starting, I'm going to go ahead to label this. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is to draw our zip allowance, because this is going to have a zipper at the back. So I'm marking 1.5 inches for the zipper allowance. So I'm going to connect with a straight line. Then we'll be locating our neck measurement, our neck area. So we used 4 1/4 for the neck earlier, so I'm marking that again there. And so I'm going to be marking 1 inch just like I did to the front, and then I'm also going to use my hip curve to mark this curve like this for the neckline. So the neckline is actually similar to the front neckline. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is to locate my armhole. So I'll still put my tape as 4 inches, and then we used 7.5 for the armhole depth earlier. So I'm going to mark that and then draw a line across it. Then I'm going to be connecting from the neckline to that line. So that's the chest line. So I'm going to be taking my bust measurements on the chest line. I'm going to divide my bust into 4, and then I'm going to mark it there. So I'm going to be connecting from the neckline to that measure, to the bust point there. So I'm going to connect it like that. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is to locate my dart, to place my dart. So just like we use half of my bust band earlier, so that's 3 inches. I'm going to be marking it all the way down, and then I'm going to be connecting it with a straight ruler. So at the underbust, I'm going to be connecting to the middle of the armhole here. So I'm going to create a curve like this with my curve rule from the underbust to the middle of the armhole like this. So that will serve as a dart. So I'm just trying to make that place curvy so that it does not have a sharp edge. And so on the waistline, I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch on both sides, and I'm going to be connecting it to the upper part like this. And then on the blouse length also, I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch on both sides of the dart line. And then I'm going to be connecting it to the waistline with a straight line. What we'll be doing next is to take our measurements. I'm going to be taking our horizontal measurements. So here my underbust measurement, I'll divide it by 4, mark it. And here the waist measurement 26 inches. I'm going to divide that by 4, which is 6.5. I'm going to mark it here, and then I'm going to be measuring the dart allowance here. Then I'm going to be placing it back. I'll also use the hip measurement for this lower part like I did for the front. I'm going to divide it by 4. I'm going to mark it here, then measure the dart also, and then I'm going to be placing it back just like this. Then I'm going to be connecting all the lines together. So on the waistline at the zip area here, I'm going to be coming in by 3/4 inch just to remove the zip bulge. So I'm going to be connecting this upward, and I'm also going to be connecting it downward. Then I'm going to be placing the 3/4 inch back on the other side here. So I'm going to mark 3/4 inch like this. Then I'm going to be connecting it towards the upper side, the upper part like this. And I'm also going to be connecting towards the lower part. I'll be using my curve rule just like this. So this is the new line now. Then I'm going to be taking seam allowance. I'm going to be using 1.5 inch on every point. On the lower part, the blouse length line, I'm going to be using 1 inch. Then I'm going to be connecting all these points together. So I'll cancel this out now because this will be the new line. Then I can go ahead and cut it out. So before cutting the dart, I'm going to close the dart like this and tape it down with a tape. What I want to do is to create a curve at the lower part like this. So I'm just going to hold this with a tape, and then here at this zip allowance part, I'm going to come up by 3/4 of an inch. Then find the middle part between the dart and the side, the end there. So I'm going to try to like curve it this way. You can see the way I'm placing the curve. I just want to make, this is optional though, I just don't want that place to be straight. I don't want it to be a bit curvy. So that's what I'm trying to do. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the other part. So this will be all for the back pattern. It's going to have a zipper. It's not going to have boning or eyelet or anything like that. It's just a zipper. So this lower part of the upper part, I'm not going to be cutting it on fold. It's going to be open, like I'm going to slash that part, and then there will be boning on those joint area. So I'm going to be slashing this part also, this into 2. So I'm going to mark 2.5 inches here. Then on the lower part, I'm going to be marking 3 inches because I don't want it to be so straight. So I'm just trying to mark 3 inches here. Then I'm going to be connecting it together and then connecting it to the upper part, just like this. So I'll just slash this now, and I'm going to be cutting it out with my fabric. So I'm using crepe fabric for this, and I've gone ahead to add all allowances around it, 1/2 inches allowance. And I did not add any allowance on the side because I already cut that on the pattern. And I'm going to be ironing my hairstay on these patterns, on both the fabric and the lining. So I'm going to be uploading the sewing tutorial for this. And when I upload this, you want to turn on your notification bell so that you can get notified when I do this. So this is it. I already cut out the lining also. So I'm going to be ironing hairstay to the lining and everything. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and give your comments. Thank you.